He's looking out the window. Look, they're in a path. There he is. He's up here, Michael. Take a picture. Look, macho. See?
Yeah.
Does it smell bad?
Ellie, what is that, Ellie? What is that? Get up. Get up. Give me the paper last week before. Somebody was looking at the camera.
Well, he shouldn't be there, sitting in the cupboard somewhere.
Oh, okay.
gorilla will know.
Don't find an adult male orangutan using his bare hands trying to Daddy,
10,000 feet high in the rainforest of Central Africa lies the hidden world of the mysterious mountain gorilla.
Let's play tag. Let's play tag. I think they're playing tag. He's trying to go inside somewhere.
Can't go in there, no.
He's picking up his feet.
Don't you see the baby's hands holding on to her? There he is. He came up.
Come on. No. Come on.
You can't go in there.
They can go into the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Going in. Not that active.
We need to find what we can under, made bigger and better.
I don't know, not as fun.
There's some kind of weird habitat in the bird. See?
What's down there, April? Ostriches?
Where's the ostrich over there, Dusty?
Did you fall down, get hurt? Did you fall down, get hurt? Here they are. This was the they are. Yeah, look. They all together.
That play as well as working on the inside.
Let's move your piece of film. Monkey,
There's a big
oh my God, look at yeah, they're all, yeah, they're wild. They're going wild. The baby ones are going wild. They're fighting.
Oh, is that maybe from the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little tiny one. Right there. They're fighting. They all fight. Look, he's putting his mouth on it, and the other one's gonna eat it. Yeah, they're. Look at that. The other one from yeah. He's trying to pull that out of his mouth. He's holding him.
They're bouncy on the last one. The babies are bouncy. Oh, what's those big?
Look, his fur's coming out.
Yep.
So sick. I like the pet.
I know, I wonder if they're soft.
They are. And that one looks nice. Looks more like a manatee. Manatees are soft.
Manatee. Except that they swim.
What?
Except they're not in the water.
What is it? Whoa, cool. He stole it. I'll whoop you if you hit that. You're a little baby, a piece of junk.
Look, there's another part.
There's only a couple of these. Most of them are, but all of them are inside, actually.
It looks like a bunch of those.
They're still fighting. They're still fighting. There we go.
Hey bud, how's it going? I'd love to say squirts all the way out here.
They are so funny. I wish I could just film them. I miss Amy. Hey Michelle, come here. I found a really funny one. See that one with the swings?
Huh?
Swings. Where?
Someone carry this. See if you can stop it now. Big wise. Oh. Man, this I heard it takes time. Arm wave around.
They look like little old men.
They do. Look like little dots. Look at the hair.
They're about to use.
During the same year, Ian did his research and now since here are CRISPR boards. CRISPR.
What they're doing to prep is
Rick will is probably right outside the We're gonna. Shirt, long shirt on, and jeans. And the guy who put this shirt and tie right next to him. Hi. Can you give you some information on what these animals are actually used for?
Housed in isolation. In some instances, decades ago, they would put the infant primates in with what they referred to as surrogate mothers, inanimate objects that either would actually injure the animal when we tried to go near it, or just were, physically inanimate objects that were at cold temperature. And all of these kind of things, the essential result is it dries the that resulted from it. There's been research that happened here that resulted in infant primates actually chewing off their own fingers. I can document that. At the UW, yes. A researcher named, I want to say it was Drs. Kramer and McKinney years ago did research on self-injurious behavior in primates, where they caused enough psychological pathology all of this, as you can imagine, leads to a population of severely stressed animals. Just having animals in captivity stresses them. When you take them from an enclosure this size and move them to the kind of cage that's used in a laboratory, which is, something like this, that severely increases the stress. These animals are under so much stress before the experiments even start that the products could have no scientific validity whatsoever. It's not possible. And then the handling from human beings, the research projects themselves increase that stress. Things that they study when they look at things like that they're trying to look at the psychology of an animal, and you're starting with primates that are so severely stressed. You're starting with very artificial conditions at the beginning. It makes no sense. You're trying to look at the effects of stress on disease progression and chemicals in the bloodstream or the immune system or whatever. They're starting under such artificial conditions with such severely stressed animals that none of it has any scientific validity whatsoever. They're taking, as an example, it says here they're using, just for psychological experimentation, which is actually a relatively small fraction of what they do here, they use over $1 million a year. That's in the fact sheet. Michael, the last name is Budkie. It's spelled B-U-D-K-I-E. I'm the director of SANE, which is Stop Animal Exploitation now. I'm an animal health technician by education. I was educated inside a laboratory. I've seen this kind of thing firsthand. That's what made me an activist. You see a few rats guillotined in here, a few rabbits breaking their backs and restraint devices. That doesn't make an activist out of you, nothing.
What would you say are the main objections to this protest?
There's two foci of this protest. Number one, we want to call attention to the fact that the research that is done at UW is scientifically invalid. Animal research, by and large, is not applicable to human disease. Okay, that's one of the foci. The other foci is to publicize the fact, which has been well publicized in the media locally, that funds have been diverted from this facility. Contracts have been broken at this facility. Sentient, rational creatures have been sold for research, which directly violates contracts that the UW had. We wish to point out graft and corruption at UW.
Isn't he good? That's why we bring him.
Graft and corruption.
Graft and
Perfect example of it is in that psychological experimentation where these researchers doing the same stuff, getting multiple grants, they're paid to do the same thing 3 or 4 times.
And I also have a physician, I'm an MD. I I trained here, I taught here, and I also have done animal research. And it's bogus. It just doesn't have any application to human beings. And I'm writing a book to that effect at this time. My wife is a veterinarian. And we used to sit around the dinner table when we were both training here and swap stories. And we started to notice that the way she treated animals was totally different from the way I treated human beings. And the reason for that is because animals are not funny-looking people. They're different. So the scientific results obtained are not applicable.
Is UW-Madison particularly bad, would you say, across the country?
UW-Madison is particularly big, okay? I would not say that they are any worse or any better. That's kind of like asking, is Auschwitz worse than Dachau? I mean, you know, both, I don't see how you could get any worse. But they are singled out because of their size. They are one of the largest recipients of NIH funding in the nation. They're one of the few institutions that receives, I think, over $100 million a year of grant money from the NIH. That's huge. That's not chump change. And a significant amount of that money goes to torture and kill sentient creatures.
Got it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you
Thanks for
very
coming. But apparently there was a whistleblower here, and I don't know all the details on that. But apparently there have been some whistleblowers that have come forward with information related to the violation of the contract. And it's my understanding that those people are in a lot of political trouble with the university, et cetera, as you would expect from whistleblowers to be. So I don't know all the details of how exactly we found out, but I do know that there were some whistleblowers involved. Come out. We have received documentation verifying their stories. In other words, we have the names and numbers of the monkeys that were sold into research colonies. All of our data that we have presented has been documented, and the local newspaper here has done an excellent job of documenting the fact that this is not hearsay, this is not disgruntled employees, this actually occurred. And the scientific fallacy of it is, again, a second issue. It's another related issue to this whole graft and corruption process. Right. UW is big, it's powerful, they have millions, if not billions of dollars at their disposal, and we're a very small group. The only thing that we have on our side is the truth. So historically, what large, oppressive institutions or bodies have done is they've tried just to ignore the problem in hopes that it'll go away. If it doesn't go away, then they'll try and discredit us by saying that these monkeys are used for life-saving research, which is totally bogus. That's a total fallacy. And that's why I try to emphasize at my press conferences, I am willing to come here and debate any UW scientist on the scientific merits of animal research anytime, anywhere. Let's take the animal rights issue off the table and just debate it. Just debate the scientific merit. But by and large, the university will ignore it and hope it goes away. Greek, G-R-E-E-K. I represent the Medical Research and Modernization Committee. I'm an anesthesiologist. I used to teach anesthesiology here at UW, 1990 roughly.
I was going to go ahead and make a
And I live in Kansas now. Triangle, what are you trying to?
Oh, I thought it'd be interesting so she could tell you it was 1996 about what she saw in She's got her buddy.
And so what did you see?
I've got my buddy.
I saw monkeys turning flips,
Shoot stuff like this.
pulling their hair out, biting their legs to the point of bleeding.
She's your roommate.
One monkey was returned after being poked and prodded into the wrong cage and was beaten up by another monkey, and that wasn't really a problem for them. Other monkeys who had just arrived were huddling in their cages and just very, very scared. And I guess the most disturbing thing was one room that had monkeys isolated by themselves in a cage. And we couldn't even see that there were other monkeys around. And as soon as you opened up the door, they would press their bodies against the cage. You know, they were dying to be touched, so they would press their bodies against the cage and you would pet them and they would be okay. But they were just starving for infection. And that was all of the monkeys in that room did that. So obviously they needed human contact or contact with another.
And I don't know what they were for, what the research was, but one research that was being done was for Rogaine, and that was all they told me. You know, I just worked there for about 10 hours.
That's why I went, okay.
And why did you leave?
I couldn't handle it because they were dying. I mean, the man training me said, well, I found a dead monkey last week, and when that happens, you just tell someone and clean out the cage.
Beetles. I put the beetle wrench on.
Like, Karen doesn't mind me. I've been there for a long time.
Do you know, was that Kurt Bain?
No, it wasn't, but I did meet him.
Because I know a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I have a call.
No, I know, that's why I called.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's interesting to find out more about the people who are involved. I mean, did you get a sense of how did these people react? The people who worked with them on a daily basis, did they look at these monkeys as property to be?
They seemed to care about them. They really did. And the training I got was pretty extensive as far as feeding them. We did the health, and they would just say, well, you know, they're probably going to die soon. And it was just kind of, that's just the way it is. But yet they really seemed to care about their mental and physical health. So it was confusing to me how they could actually work there. And that's why I left, because I had nightmares. I guess I had kind of a twisted view. I thought I could actually, you know, take them out and touch them and hold them, but no, you can't do that. You cannot do that at all. And it's in my journal, but I would feed them water. I was washing down their cages, and it turns out they were incredibly thirsty. And I don't know if I should have done this, but I started giving them water through the hose. Some of them would play with the water, others would drink until, you know, I took it away because they wanted more water. They were really thirsty. So I thought, well, I could stick around and I could feed them, and hopefully they won't find out that I'm feeding them extra water and extra fruit.
Yeah.
But then the other monkeys would look at me and they would get upset if they couldn't have the water too. So, and there were just too many to deal with the 8-hour period that I had.
It's just a week old and
Do you know what?
Again, they just looked really sick, most of them. Either sick or really scared. And the ones that had just arrived from some island off the coast of South Carolina, they told me, they were incredibly scared. They were two in a cage, which was rare, but if they were hugging each other. And even if I'd give them food, they would not take it because they were so scared.
So
I don't know what the research was.
yeah. Do you know at all how many were most of them in isolated cages by themselves, or were they?
Just one room, and I'd say there were about 40 isolated.
So 40 individual cages.
And they could not see another monkey. They could hear each other, but the cages were set up so that they couldn't even see that they were another monkey. And that's why when you opened up the door, they were so excited that they would be touched.
So they could actually hear a person coming in.
Yeah, oh yeah. And the other rooms weren't like that. So it was obvious that these monkeys were deprived of contact, and it was making them crazy.
I just got into a fight with them because they said they weren't communicating.
Yeah.
So some of the caretakers did work here.
So they worked kind of in both places.
That was if you worked there long enough, you were upgraded to work at the zoo as a caretaker.
And tell me more about the people that you worked with, because I think a lot of people, well, have most of them pegged as evil, as really bad.
Again, the guy training me, he was a young guy in college. I'm not sure what his major was, maybe psychology actually. And he truly cared about primates. He wanted to go work with them in the wild.
We saw the actual silence.
I really believe that he cared, but again, he seemed like he didn't have a conscience because you couldn't care about them and work there at the same time. Maybe he was just so immune to it because he had been there for so long. But he wasn't an evil person. And the woman who hired me, which was Kurt Bain's love interest, I think. I don't know if people know that.
What's her name? It's not Christine.
Blonde hair. Really nice woman. You know, compassionate. But again, for them it was a business, it was a job. So she understood why I quit. I went into her office crying and she said it happens all the time. So it was a good experience because I did have kind of an in into what goes on down there, but it was disturbing to the point of, I had nightmares and had to quit.
What's your name?
Kathy Koppa, K-O-P-P-A.
And then and you worked at the
UW Primate Center for a day and a half.
We got on the song. But you put them in all the
Yeah, that's right. I could care less about that part. I think it's all part of the same deal. It's a competitive. We win. I like it. I don't get as you know, but you know what? Yeah. But you guys, then on the other you get to get all the chances. They like to go, they go, yeah, we get that in. That's why they're like, oh, please. I mean, and they're always like, oh, he's going to get another guy. It's so gross. Yes, I am very good. I like this because you thought you must have to. You don't have to be able to.
When were we back across the
I don't think it's a bad thing to be at the square like we're listening to that get. No, that's not big. You have to get off the square and hear from all over, but it's not always.
We've had a lot of support from groups from all over. We've had people coming as far as California, Cincinnati. We have university groups, Green Bay's group, their new group called Spare, and we have a lot of support from the media, and we're hoping that this will bring people together and show the plight that the animals are facing. Not only the zoo monkeys that are at risk of being sold to pharmaceutical companies, but in the bigger picture, the animals that suffer and die in labs every day across this country. And the NIH spends millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars on animal research every year, and that's our taxpayer money. So we're protesting not only the fact that the university broke their agreement with the zoo monkeys, or with the zoo about the zoo monkeys, but also in the bigger picture that millions and billions of dollars are wasted on animal research where it could be directed in a more positive way. That
So, so where's the market?
What? Okay. We're going to be marching from here at the zoo to Mill Street down to the Primate Center. We're going to meet at the Harlow Lab, where Rick Bogle has set up his Ape Army Stuffed Monkey Brigade. And we're going to have a rally there. Dr. Ray Greek is here from Kansas City and some other speakers. Should be really great.
Great.
Take mills, we have to stay on the sidewalk according to the regulations and according to the permit that we have. Stay on the sidewalk and walk down to Regent and then to Charter, where we'll be at the Primate Center. So let's go, let's do it for the monkeys, and thank you all for coming out today. Let's go.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, are you ready? Let's go. All right, university, stop your monkey business. Leave the animals alone.
Murder and torture is not science. Now's the time to end this violence. Murder and torture is not science. Now's the time to end this violence. Murder and torture is not science. Now's the time to end this violence. Murder and torture is not science. Now's the time to end this violence. Murder and torture is not science.
They're going to be a very good.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I'm David.
Actually, I want some of that too.
Animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF!
Stop the torture! Stop the death!
Free the animals ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals ALF! What do we want? Now! Human liberation, animal rights! One struggle, one fight! 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 One struggle, one fight! Hey, hey! Animal liberation! Now! Now! Hell yeah!
He's driving it.
That's what I thought it was saying. Got a hangover here. Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Animal rights! One struggle, one fight! Human liberation, 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 animal rights! One struggle, one fight! Free the animals!
Even Milwaukee,
Free the animals!
you're from Mars.
Stop the death! We gotta go to jail for it! Yes! What do we want? What do we want? Now! Animal liberation! Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now!
Okay, let's get everybody out here. What do we want?
this lab are under attack. Let's smash the windows with a baseball bat. What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! We're gonna fight for it! Yeah! Get it! Oh yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! Human freedom, animal rights! One struggle, one fight! 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 What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! Woo! Yeah! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Stop the torture! Stop the pain! Vivisection is insane! Hands off the animals! 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 Hands off. What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Now! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yeah! Are we gonna get it? Hell yeah! Animal rights are under attack. What do we do? Act up, fight back. Animal rights are under attack. What do we do? Act up, fight back. Animal rights are under attack. What do we do? Act up, fight back. Animal rights are under attack. What do we do? Act up, fight back. Animal rights are under attack. What do we do? Act up, fight back. Animal rights are under attack. What do we do?
We want it!
No!
Are you gonna fight for it?
Yeah!
Are you gonna get it?
Hell yeah!
Harry Harlow drove baby monkeys insane by removing them from their mothers at birth.
Is this Harry Harlow right here?
That's Harry Harlow.
Harry Harlow and his disciples.
Good. Have that. Get him, get him, get him.
Oh, we got him the trick matches.
Harry Harlow is an infamous name in biomedical research. He created the wells of despair. This is his effigy. The research that he did was meaningless other than to reinforce the fact that primates are sentient, rational creatures capable of suffering.
Burn, Harry, burn!
Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! Burn, Harry, burn! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! We're gonna fight for it! Yes! We're gonna get it! Yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Yes!
We want the university to stop killing and torturing monkeys in the name of science. There's still 1,300 primates here at the hands of the university researchers. What do we want?
Animal liberation!
Are we gonna get it?
Yes!
Fight for it?
Yes! What are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Hell yes! Torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Stop the torture! Stop the death! Free the animals! ALF! Hands off the animals! 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 What do we do? Act up, fight back! Animals and labs are under attack! What do we do? Act up, fight back! What do we want? Animal liberation! Where do we want it? Now! Are we gonna get it? Yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Hell yes! Woo!
Vivisectors have fattened their wallets for years, and they brainwashed the public into thinking that their experiments have been responsible for the discovery of penicillin and chemotherapeutic agents. We are here to expose this as a lie. It is a scientific fallacy that research on sentient, rational creatures, such as those housed here, has led to the improvement of humanity's living conditions and medical care. We openly challenge any UW researcher to debate this issue. Anytime, anywhere, you show up, we'll be there. What do we want?
Animal liberation!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Animal liberation!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Hell yes!
Stop torture! Stop the pain!
here at the UW?
Animal experimenters and vivisectors have gotten rich off of animal experimentation. They've gotten rich off the suffering of sentient, rational creatures. Some of the research that has been done here has actually been honorable research. They have helped to prove that primates, gorillas, monkeys are sentient, rational creatures. And you know what they did to those monkeys afterwards? They dissected them alive, and that's why we're here. Penicillin did not come about as a result of animal research. The person who discovered penicillin actually set it aside after he experimented on rabbits. Do you know why? Because it didn't work on rabbits. It's a good thing that he didn't take penicillin and give it to guinea pigs, or we still would not have it. Penicillin kills guinea pigs. The list of things that are different in animals than from humans is endless. I am a physician. My wife is a veterinarian. We got into the animal rights movement because during our dinner conversations we realized just how different animals are from human beings, except for the fact that they do suffer. They do feel pain. They do have emotional stress just like us. But the way their hearts beat and the way they suffer from cancer is different. That's why it's a scientific fallacy and a waste of taxpayer money to fund animal research. It's also an immoral act, and it should be stopped now. What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it?
Now! Fight for it! Yes! We're gonna get it! Hell yes! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we gonna fight for it? Yes! Are we gonna get it? Hell yes!
Vivisection is not science. Now's the time to end this violence.
Vivisection is not science! Now's the time to end this violence! Vivisection is not science! Now's the time to end this violence!
Here, and if we could have about a gazillion more of us, people might start to wake up and understand what's going on in these places. Isn't it amazing that there's no windows? You know, if you go down here and you go to the next big building, it's just a block, it's just 5 stories high, and it's full of all of these monkeys. This place drives me nuts. Sitting here day after day, I just, you know, we need to bring sledgehammers, and we just need to tear the whole damn place down. And the truth is, if all of us had sledgehammers, they couldn't arrest us all quick enough. One person doing it goes to jail pretty quickly. If everybody were willing to do those sorts of things all over the United States,
when we get
this
done
would
here,
end
the guy's
tomorrow.
going to tell us why
This would end
jokes are
tomorrow if
funny.
enough people
So
stood up
I'm
and
gonna do
said,
an
I'm
interview
not
with
going
you.
home until this nonsense is over. And this is nonsense. This is nonsense. And I'm going to stay here for a long time. I invite all of you to come. I invite all of you to come to Atlanta. Come to Yerkes, because Yerkes will be huge. And I don't know how long I'll stay at Yerkes, but I'll be there for a long time. Because we won't tear it down today, probably. Rest assured, police, you're safe. But we'll be back. And we'll be back again and again and again. Because it's not going to go away until we have thousands of people in the streets all over the United States at the same time. Right now, this very day, there's something going on in Portland. This weekend, next weekend, there's something going on in Boston. Every place we've been, there's people in the streets in front of these primate centers saying, we won't put up with this BS any longer. It's time to wake up and say, let's get a little kindness. Let's quit being cruel. Let's stop this nonsense. It's nonsense. So anyway, thank you for coming, and don't go home.
I'd also like to say that I had a letter from Dean Hinshaw regarding the Viola Sioux monkeys. And in that letter she states that there is no money, there's no endowment to secure the future for the Viola Sioux monkeys. Well, we're saying, Dean Hinshaw, show us the money that you made selling the 110 monkeys that you weren't supposed to sell. from the Violet Zoo. There's millions of dollars that are going to be spent to build another facility right over there in that lot. They want to build another 3- or 4-story building to put more monkeys in cages, subject them to more torture with your tax dollars. So, Dean Hinshaw, show us the money. Let's get those primates to a safe sanctuary or donate it to the zoo where they can live out their lives in peace. They've already given enough. They've sacrificed their babies. Let's put an end to this. What do we want?
Animal liberation!
What are you going to do? Fight for it?
Yes!
You're going to get it?
Yes!
All right. Show us the money, Dean Hinshaw. We know it's there.
Hands off the animal! 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 Hands off the animals! Hands off the animals! Hands off the animals! Hands off! Animal liberation! Now! Animal liberation! Now! We're gonna fight for it! Yeah! We're gonna get it! Yes!
All right. There's got to be more people more concerned about this issue. There's activists all over the country that care. We got to get them active and out there and in front of the cameras, protesting the torture of these animals. What do we want?
Animal liberation!
What are we going to do?
Fight for it!
Until you were done.
Well, I don't know how long.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we'll be here for the whole thing, and then we'll just do a little quick. Yeah, we're not sticking around.
If you go up to this street.
Oh, nice to meet you.
My name's Daniel.
Hi. And you're from where?
WYOU, Channel 4.
Okay.
And I just wanted to ask you a question. I mean, when I came to the protest rally, I saw a police officer videotaping the whole proceedings. What are the reasons for that?
Well, we videotape any of the demonstrations for everybody's protection. In case there's any if the protest is over, if anybody comes and says, you know, there's a problem here, you didn't take care of that, or there's a problem with an officer, or there was a problem with a protester, that way we have a record of that.
Are these videotapes used for anything else other than that? Like, are they used to, you know, identify who was at the rally?
If there was a problem, they could be used for identification.
What if there was no problem? What if it was totally non-violent and everything went smoothly? Would the videotape be used to identify the people and basically form a dossier on them, a file on them?
I can't tell you what happens to the videotapes after the protest. I don't know at this point.
Do you know who picks up the video?
I can get that information for you.
That'd be great. I mean, do you know anyone who picks up the videotape? Does the city, does the university pick it up, or does the city pick it up? I mean,
it's probably kept in evidence at this point, as part of the case file.
But you do not know if they do any kind of research on it to find out exactly who is there on the videotape and who is not there, and what the names and addresses are, etc.
Generally, that wouldn't be done unless, like I said, there was a problem that arose from it. We needed to identify somebody.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
It's just, you can get some names out here. You have all, did you get this?
What do we do? We have a right to attack! What do we do? We have a right to attack! What do we do? Rights are under attack! What do we do? Bananas and lambs are under attack! What do we do? Fight back! What do we want? Animal liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Oh, yes!
I just moved here, so I don't know.
Welcome. I have it, Rick. Do you want it?
How many people would be interested in visiting a home of a researcher or a home of a university professor here who's in charge? tonight for that, and we willing to stay around for that tonight. How many people want to meet at the zoo at 7 o'clock tonight to go do some home vigiling? Be caroling, a lot of fun. Why don't we do that then? Meet at 7 at the zoo.
Put the university out of the monkey business once and for all.
Anyone want a chance? Why so late?
That's right, just my own classroom.
And when you were in class?
Just when I was in class. And as soon as the kids stepped out of my classroom, they were on their own again. But in my classroom,
you used to enforce just words? Or?
Just pretty much words. As far as I know, I don't think I've ever punished a child for doing that. I've taken them out in the hall and talked to them. But it was on the rules. And the rules did say if you, the first time you do something, you get a warning with your name on the board, then a check, then a call home, then visit with the principal. But the truth is those sorts of things only were in place for, chewing gum and that.
Way back in 1988, the UW Greens were called a terrorist organization for challenging Monsanto with its RBGH research. How many of you know about them injecting dairy cows with hormones? Yeah. If you want to take a weirdo, wacko tour of this campus, go over to the dairy center and look at the cows over there, what's happening to them on this campus as well. There's a lot of other crap going on this campus. We call it bio-crap research. There's a lot of it going on. But this building here is probably the most outrageous example. And I just want to tell you a funny story about this building. A few years ago, someone broke into this building. It wasn't ALF. They thought it was, or someone like ALF. Actually, it was the FBI. Now, why would the FBI break into this building? I don't know if you noticed on our little tour, but around the back corner there is a Muslim Student Center. They broke into this building to take pictures of Muslim students going into the Muslim Student Center because they thought they were terrorists. They were harassing them because they were Muslim. This building is notorious for all sorts of harassment on this campus. Not only people of color, but monkeys, what should be done on this campus as far as research goes. And I hope the 200-some scientists and researchers who are taking the blood money in this building wake up for this. I mean, I can't believe this is still happening on our campus. It's just disgusting. This is a public school. What does a public school mean? We all pay for it with our public money. This school is supposed to be accountable to the community. And we've already heard a challenge here, and we dare any researcher from this building to have a public debate about our public building using our public money. It's supposed to be our public research in our public interest. It's not. It's none of that. This just makes my blood boil. It's nauseating what's going on in this building. It's just disgusting. This type of stuff should have been abolished with the Nazis. It's still going on. It's still going on. At the UW-Madison, it's supposed to be a progressive campus. And you police over there, I hope you're listening to this too, because we're going to be having a meeting with you later about the behavior of you on this campus the last couple of months. Not letting people freely speak about these issues, harassing activists, and I hope you're really listening. Take my picture. I paid my tuition this semester. At any rate, I hope they don't think we're going to be going away, and I hope you have some sensitivity training. And you people in there, I hope you can sleep well at night knowing the horrible torture you're doing every day. See, it's disgusting.
Very fitting that we're here in front of the Harlow Primate Lab. Harry Harlow is responsible for starting one of the most heinous kinds of animal experimentation in the country, in the world. He started maternal deprivation experimentation, and we're here to serve notice today to every primate vivisector in this country, whether they're doing addiction experiments, maternal deprivation, or whatever they're doing on primates. You're going to be seeing us real soon, because we're not going to let this stuff go on unchallenged. This is only the beginning, what we're doing here today.
Woo! Before we leave here, let's let the monkeys in there know that they're not alone. So let's let them hear us. Let's chant even louder than we have been now. What do we do?
Okay, does anybody want to hear any more about the actual science behind what's going on in here? Okay, that's me. All right, let's start with the A's. Let's talk about AIDS. Now, one of the most politically correct scientific research projects today is AIDS research, and I'm all for that. AIDS is probably the most dangerous epidemic to hit this century. All right. When your parents were children, polio was a big deal, and polio was actually hindered by animal research. Okay. There's a Nobel Prize winner named Sabin, who in a congressional subcommittee stated under oath that animal research had delayed the polio vaccine for decades. And yet, the vivisectionists pull out the polio vaccine every day and say, wow, look, this is what animal research did for us. And they're lying. Animal research did not produce the polio vaccine. And if you ask Dr. Sabin, unfortunately he's dead, but according to his writings, it actually hindered the development of the polio vaccine. And that is exactly what is happening today with AIDS research. Scientists have tried for years now to produce human AIDS in animals, and it just doesn't happen. The immune system is too different. The actual virus that causes AIDS in monkeys is very different from the virus that causes AIDS in human beings. The immune systems of primates is sufficiently different from the immune system of human beings that even when the pseudo-AIDS is caused in primates, the clinical course is much different. A lot of primates, when they are infected with the type of virus that causes AIDS, they basically get a little head cold. That's it. Now, how naive does the public have to be to believe that a little head cold is the same thing as full-blown AIDS? I mean, give me a break.
Well, there's no comparison.
The AIDS in cancer research has probably been the two levels of research that have been most capitalized on by the vivisectors. Let me tell you what research has not done, okay? Research did not show the link between cigarette smoking and cancer. Research did not, or animal research, I'm sorry. Epidemiology showed the link between cigarette smoking and cancer. Epidemiology showed the link between high blood pressure and stroke. The development of antihypertensives, the medications that people use when they have high blood pressure, that came from clinical research. That didn't come from this laboratory. The only thing that comes from this laboratory is a lot of money to go into the pockets of vivisectors. That's it. Okay? Chemotherapeutic agents came from World War I from the battlefield. That was the origin of chemotherapeutic agents. They studied about 40,000 chemicals over the last couple of decades on animals. You know how many of them turned out to be useful on humans? 0. That's where your money's going, folks. That's why we're here. There's two arguments here. One is the animal rights argument, which we're all familiar with. Animal experimentation is immoral. But it's also invalid from a scientific perspective, and that's the other argument. Cancer research has been done on animals for years, and nowadays the oncologists, the cancer experts, are coming out and saying that there is so little that animals have in common with human beings that it's a waste of money to do any more cancer research on animals. Heart disease is the leading killer of adults in the United States. You know how many animal models there are of heart disease? 0. And they have tried for years and years and years to induce coronary artery disease in primates and rabbits, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Because animals are not funny-looking people. Animals have their own physiology, they have their own anatomy, they have their own pathology.
So they don't work with anti-inflammatories, or they don't work with anti-coagulants?
They've tried some anti-inflammatory drugs on animals, which worked very well. Then they released them to the public, and it blinded about 100 people.
Is that right?
That's a fact.
Well, I need to know that.
They've also tried anti-inflammatory drugs on animals, which worked well, which went on to cause liver failure in humans, which necessitated liver transplants. Now, this is not what you hear on the nightly news when the UW holds a press conference to tell you how great animal research is. But this is what happens. Pick pick an area of animal research and I'll talk about it. Who wants to hear about animal what? Cancer, genetic engineering. Genetic engineering. Let's talk about cloning. The cloning issue. Okay, the cloning issue is very big right now because these animal researchers want more animals to experiment on. But the reason that I'm opposed to cloning, I'm not necessarily opposed to cloning per se. We've been cloning cells in a laboratory now for decades, literally. There's nothing wrong with cloning a cell in a laboratory, but there is something wrong with cloning a sheep when you're going to take that sheep, experiment on her, and there's going to be absolutely no scientific validity to that experimentation. So the whole cloning issue is a red herring. All they're trying to do is make more animals so they can do more research, so they can get more money. Folks, this is not about science, okay? If you take one thing away from here today, this is not about science. None of these UW people are going to debate me on local television because they know they're going to lose. This is about money. The UW makes millions of dollars every year on animal research, and that is why they're going to defend it.
Animal outcomes of the world.
Instead of tonight, how many people are interested in possibly visiting Dr. Joseph Chemnitz, the director of the Wisconsin Regional Primate Research Center right now? We can walk right over there. Pay Joseph a little visit, maybe tell him politely we'd like him to stop. Stop his work at the Wisconsin Regional Primate Research Center.
All right, do it. Go!
WYU. I'm interviewing Rick Bogle, who's from originally from
Oregon.
And he's come over to Wisconsin right now, and I'd like to ask him what got him involved in the animal rights movement.
I'm a school teacher, and this past year, I've had a rule in my classroom for the past 8 years that says that you can't kill insects or spiders in my classroom. I grew up catching insects and spiders, so I understand that kids need to look at things, and so I always told them that if you want to look at them, you can catch them, put them in a jar, flip them over, and then let them go. But that we just weren't going to run up and smash things just for the sake of smashing things. So at the start of this year, I had a parent come and tell me that they thought that my rule was not appropriate, and that they basically took exception. We met, and they told me that they thought I was teaching, the kids in my class were having a one-sided education, that they were learning all about environmental things. Well, I taught math this last year, and we didn't talk about any of these issues. The only thing was that they couldn't kill insects in my classroom. So we met with the principal and came up with the agreement that if they would allow me to help present some sort of a balanced curriculum on animal issues, I would take my rule down, and that would be the end of it. And so they said, all right, the parents agreed to that. So for about 2 months, myself, the principal, and the other middle school teachers, the high school ag teacher, I'll be back, I'll be here. We worked to put together a curriculum for the kids, and we worked on it for about 2 months. And so we had a number of speakers coming in besides other activities, and the first speaker was the 4-H Extension Service man by the name of Gary Delaney. He teaches them how to raise their 4-H pigs. So he came in. Out of the 60 kids that could have participated, 20 were allowed to. The parents, we had sent out a permission slip since this was a non-routine curricular sort of thing, and the community had erupted. They said they didn't want environmentalism taught in their school, and this is how all the problems in the world started. And so we did have the first, like I said, Gary Delaney came in for the first day, and then the second speaker we had was Nancy Perry, who was with the Humane Society of the United States. By the time she got there, the police had to come to escort her into the building because everything was so crazy. The parents continued to badger the school board. They had to move. We're having emergency school board meetings every night. They had to move the meetings from the normally where they're held in the library, but there wasn't enough room. There were so many people coming that they had to hold them in the gym. There's about 200 kids that go to our school. There were hundreds of people coming to the meetings, and even though so many teachers had worked to put on the program, I was singled out. A formal complaint was filed against me, and through the process of all this, they finally canceled the program, told me to take my rule down. Well, I had already taken my rule down, but told me, I put my rule back up once they canceled the program. That our agreement had been that if we put on this program, I would take my rule down. The program got canceled, I put my rule back up, and then it became just a legalistic sort of a dance and argument. So I was told that I wasn't allowed to encourage kids to be kind or compassionate in my classroom. At about that same time, I went to a conference over in Portland and heard a woman speak by the name of Dr. Sherry Speed, who's a veterinarian there, spoke about the 2,300 monkeys that are held in the Oregon Regional Primate Research Center, and was just appalled that this was going on.
There's 1,000 more than what we have over here?
There's 1,000 more than that are here. This is actually one of the smaller centers. And so I was getting ready to leave and come to the Wisconsin area, and since my school district had told me I wasn't allowed to teach kids to be kind, I just didn't know what to do. I heard what was going on with primates, and so I just decided to make some sort of a political statement, and I went and sat in front of the Oregon Regional Primate Research Center for 9 days in the rain and told them that personally I felt that what they were doing was absolutely immoral. And it just sort of grew from that. And as I found out more about all the rest of the centers and the sort of research that goes on in all of them, I think I was so angry that I couldn't tell 11-year-olds about being compassionate and kind. If I was told that I couldn't tell them not to smash insects, I thought, well, I'm going to go sit in front of this place and tell everybody what we're doing to monkeys. And where's the line? I mean, if I'm not allowed to tell kids to be kind to insects, can I tell them that they need to be kind to animals that are so much like us? And that's where it all grew from.
And as a layperson, do you think there's any justification or any logic to having the Department of Psychology run animal experiments on monkeys, considering the fact that human brains and monkey brains are so different?
You know, when all of this started, the Regional Primate Research Center started about 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago. They started to fund it in the end of the 50s and then early 60s. And at the time, I think the idea was that we have these lab rats that look just like little people, and so we'll be able to do anything we want to with them, and we'll be able to find cures for everything. We'll be able to solve every human problem. It'll be the panacea. It'll be the magic bullet. And instead it's turned out to be Pandora's box. But I personally feel that nothing that they do in these places is of value. I think that all of it
the means never justifies the end.
We were told that the means justified the ends during days of slavery, during days that we kept women locked in kitchens, when every time that there's been the people in power have always had justifications for those who have been out of power. And that paradigm has always had people that would argue for it. All the way through. We could go back in history when any group was enslaved, and there's always people that can stand up with justifications for why we do that. And today there's people standing up with justifications for why we're doing this. Now the truth is, from my perspective, it looks to me that most of the people that stand up with the justifications are vested in the system. They're either medical students who are told that they have to practice on animals, or they're researchers who are being paid to do that. Rarely do I find...
Or they're the animal suppliers themselves.
Or animal suppliers themselves. Rarely do I find people who have taken a dispassionate look at the entire system that can still step forward and say, oh yes, this looks valid. I think the more we learn, the more we educate ourselves, the less valid any of this looks, and the more atrocious the entire system appears.
And you told me earlier that you were a vegan. When did you turn vegan?
When did I turn vegan? Well,
and by the way, why don't you explain to people what
a vegan is? A vegan is just a person who avoids all animal products.
But clothing,
I wear canvas shoes, canvas belt. You know, this is vinyl or something. You know, I avoid animal products because every animal product has suffering associated with it.
So how long have you been vegan?
Well, I met a girl on the beach in the Bahamas in the summer of 1972, and I don't know, I can't remember what she said to me, but whatever it was, a light went on, and for a while I was a vegan, and then I sort of backslid a little bit into eating cheese and drinking milk, and so it's been sort of a roller coaster thing. But this time, it's been, I don't know, it's been 7 or 8 years.
Okay, you must have grown up eating meat and potatoes.
I did. I grew up eating meat and potatoes.
Have you found that your health has gone down after you become a vegan, or has it improved? How do you feel? Because a lot of people say that they can't be healthy.
It's been 25 years since I quit eating meat and most dairy products, and I think I feel fine. I mean, I don't. It's been so long, I can't remember if I felt more healthy then or more healthy now. But
if you compare yourself to your classmates who are the same age as you, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 44.
44. I mean, if you compare yourself to other 44-year-olds,
they look to me. They look much more middle-aged than I think I look. I look like a young man.
Yes.
But
so all you people out there who want to look young, this is a fountain of youth. Turn vegan, you'll look young for much longer. He's 44. He doesn't look 44.
Or maybe I do.
I'm 38. I don't look 38.
Or maybe we do look 44 and 38, and the rest of them that are our age look like they're 60 or 70.
Exactly.
So,
That's another way of looking at it.
With big old meat bellies on them. And,
And do you have any other comments you'd like to make?
Oh gosh, I think that I think that until a few people standing in front of these places protesting, I don't think is going to do very much. One of the things that we're asking is that we're saying that what we need is an immediate presidential moratorium to stop federal funding of primate experimentation until we can step back and look at the research that's been done over the past 40 years in biomedical research, psychological studies that were basically came out of this building, and also the language acquisition studies. We're teaching chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas to speak sign language for the deaf. We're having conversations with them now. And we haven't really, as a nation, we've never stepped back, taken a deep breath, and looked at what all of this means. We just keep moving along, and we never really stop and say, gosh, maybe we've learned something we didn't understand before. I think that it would be wrong to cast blame and say that the people that started this understood what they were doing. But I think that we've learned now so much that it's time to sort of to take stock in what we've learned. And instead of saying everything that was done here was horrible, let's see what it taught us. We should have learned something from all of this. And it seems to me that what we've learned is that they're more like us than we ever realized before. And it's just time to step back and take a good look.
Do you think zoos are a place of education or a place of desensitization?
I think there's zoos and there's zoos. I think that there's, I think that in some very unique cases, I think that you could have a large tract of land, and maybe that you could have a herd of antelope or something that wouldn't really even understand that they were in some sort of confined areas. But most of the animals that I've seen caged, they're in prison.
But animals do migrate, so I mean,
that's
the tract of land would have to be pretty big. It would be basically like a national park.
It would basically be like a national park. Most of the animals I've seen in captivity seem to me to display signs of some sort of psychosis. They rock back and forth in their cages. I mean, it seems, even if you talk about snakes and reptiles, I mean, if you put a 4-foot snake in a little box like this, it never gets a chance to stretch out. I don't know.
One thing I've noticed, animals, in spite of all the cruelty we subject them to, they still have the very humanity we say distinguishes us from them. For example, the gorilla in Illinois.
The one that saved,
saved the little kid. I'm sure a human being in the same position would have killed the kid out of anger. But this gorilla saved its oppressor. Basically.
Yeah, saved its oppressor. Didn't have any feeling of I don't know. But see, we tried to. I don't know. I think that girl's name was Binti. But we don't. I don't know why we can't learn from them. I don't know why. Well, it is true though. That animals aren't saints. I mean, there's brutality throughout nature, and so it would be wrong to say I think that they're all wonderful, compassionate beings. But it looks like that sense of compassion and that sense of altruism runs through the natural world, at least with primates. There's been lots of cases where chimpanzees have risked their lives to save other chimpanzees. the gorilla saving them. Yeah.
A tiger saves its cubs. I mean, you see the same emotion.
Yeah. We hear stories about dolphins saving people at sea. You know, I always wonder how many get
And very
pushed
few
further
stories
out.
about people saving dolphins.
Very few stories about people saving dolphins. Yeah, I don't understand why we keep talking about how we should be, how we're so much better than you know, and that humanity is somehow special. But it seems like the things that make us special, most of us want to not
suppress that.
We should nurture that. We should nurture that compassion.
Oh, they didn't have such a modest place.
Yeah, but imagine what his bank account was.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's probably got a huge Swiss account.
What do you say? How many animals did you kill today? Forgiveness, what do you say? How many animals did you kill today?
Yeah, that's what we gotta talk about here.
Animal liberation! Now! Animal liberation! Now! Yes! Hell yes! Animal liberation! Now! Yes! Hell yes!
Tell Dr. Pickens to stop killing primates and you can take your nap.
Oh, what happened? Where's the rest of them?
There's evidently some room.
That's where they are.
That's what I'm assuming. At least that's what I'm told. Not being from this area, I'm not a real good person to ask.
Save primates now! Take naps later! Save primates now! Take naps later! Save primates now! Take naps later! Save! Animal liberation! Now! Animal liberation! More to hide. Yeah, left this one right. Animal liberation! Now! Yeah!
When do we want it? We're gonna fight for it. Are we gonna get it? What do we want?
Animal liberation!
When do we want it? Where are you from? Are we gonna fight for it?
Not according to the Constitution. Read your Constitution. Tell it to him. Tell him to move out of your neighborhood. White accountable to his neighbors in the community, which is you. Tell it to him. Start it. Knock, knock, who's there? Vivisectors, be aware. 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 Knock, knock, who's there? Vivisectors, just aware. Knock, knock, who's there? Vivisectors, just aware. Knock, knock, who's there? Vivisectors, just aware. Knock, knock, who's there? Vivisectors, be aware.
You're not very far.
Knock, knock, who's there? Can we head back to the zoo?
Yeah.
Yeah! That's what we'll do. What do we want? Liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Yes! What do we want? Liberation! When do we want it? Now! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Yes!
Look out, it's no.
Surprises me about today's rally is the number of police out here. We have the UW police, we have the City of Madison police, we have the Sheriff's Department. There seems to be more police than protesters to me. And I wonder, when they're busy monitoring us, I'm sure a lot of other crime is going on. And to me, this is a waste of taxpayer dollars. I can understand one or two cops, but 20, 30 of them? There's something seriously wrong with this, folks. Taxpayers, realize this is how your tax dollars are being spent.
Yeah, that's one little tip. Whenever there's cops, you want to always show, the ratio cops to.
Oh yeah, that's I made a point about that. There were 30 cops.
Yeah.
Sheriff's Department. What are they all doing here?
Oh, that's a shock. That's a shock.
4 cops.
But even just 1-to-1, her right there with the sign and the cop.
Look at the 4 cops. Get all the cops. Get all the cops.
Yeah.
There are 4 cops.
There are 4 of them.
Might as well get the whole lot. When did you...
What? The county, the city, the university. We appreciate this. This is the WYOU channel for cable access. We ain't making no money.
Hey, the Packer game starts at 3 now, We appreciate if you'd help us out.
Why are there so many police officers for something which is basically non-violent?
It's better to have too many than not enough. We've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. You will tell me that people who are protesting this go into something violent?
We don't know. When you get a crowd, you never know what's going to happen.
Okay, we've got to see the
We have to prepare for every eventuality and hope for the best. We appreciate
it's a no-win
you guys
for us.
being
If we don't have
cooperative.
enough, don't have enough, then they say we should have.
We're
more.
pressed. This isn't our demonstration. But
It's a no.
we're pressed.
Okay. So you guys Packer fans?
I already told
Oh, no, it's 3 o'clock. I think they'll get tired after. What is it now? 2:15.
I mean,
yeah,
I do
we're
agree.
at.
People shift from working to more
Within those, you should get some of the shots of the other monkeys with the hair pulled out. The backs, Most of them have got no hair on the upper backs.
Well, it's pushing the envelope is what we're losing. I mean, if people just knew what was happening.
Shut up there. health and more than this. That's something which I also want to do. And I
I
want to
want
keep
to fundraise and I want to be able to devote myself to it because I think it's critical.
nothing else I want to
I'm
make.
hoping Factory Farming will push it every year. Like people, all this meat recall and everything is making people take a notice.
Every time it's on TV, I just...
Not a mention. I mean, not a mention. That's what he talks about, the ultimate reconstruction of the cow. And it's just completely evaporated.
And huge adults, I mean,
What are you doing that to yourself for? This is a conflict of interest.
Not really, I mean, it is in a way a conflict of interest, yes, but it's my last. It's
Yeah,
my last one. It's
Is
my
it your last one?
It's my last vice.
Oh, your last, I thought it was your last cigarette.
I wish, I mean, I hope
Yeah.
and wish every time. But it's, I mean, you do not know how addictive. Have you ever smoked?
No.
See, I mean, you're lucky.
Secondhand.
Once you,
Secondhand smoke with boyfriend.
because I mean,
Polluting boyfriend.
so people call it fat after fatty.
Okay.
See, the only thing, I mean, most of the liberal organizations still, I find a lot of things believe.
See, even the ones that aren't under the veil of conservation, like Wilderness Society, which is all